came about.
First, I'd like to say thank you for having us, for hosting us, Chicago Filipino American Film Festival. And thanks to everybody who came out and said, just come out, get Q&A. So, how did we come up with the idea for the film? We have always liked cemeteries and ghost stories, and we had originally gone out thinking we would learn more about Filipino folklore through its cemeteries and the retelling of its ghost stories. And when we visited the cemetery, we realized that the most compelling stories were with the people who live there rather than ghosts or reported ghosts. So our focus kind of shifted from the paranormal, supernatural to kind of the human rights issue of people living there and whether they should live there.
Did anyone have any questions for the filmmakers? The question was whether the subjects of the film had a chance to see the film. What was it like, reaching out to the subjects of the film? I mean, how did you go about, introducing yourselves into the community?
Well, when we first visited, it was really difficult because there are 3,000 residents there, and there's only one gate in and out of the cemetery, and you kind of open out into this labyrinth of crypts and all these people. And we basically started by going to the more prominent grave sites. So we visited first the grave sites of the ex-presidents, the presidential families, the government families, and the acting families. So we actually visited the Poe mausoleum first. It was one of the first families that we contacted, and just started to talk with the caretakers. And it's funny because they started out telling the stories of the dead presidents and Fernando Poe. It's like, no, we want to find out about you and what it's like for you to live here. And they were kind of confused, and it took them a while to sort of open up and to talk about what they went through on a day-to-day basis.
Jeanie mentioned that Phil has some good stories about some of the more unique things we saw in the film. One of the things that was kind of interesting was there's this reverence for the deceased, but there's also kind of this expediency in the way they also need to be kind of managed because in an overcrowded metropolis. Did you have anything to say about that?
One of the strangest things that we'd ever seen was the Bones Crypt, where they basically took all of the bodies of the rented grave sites, and these are for the poor. They take the bodies out every 5 years, and the family's supposed to pick them up, but they never pick them up. So they don't know what to do with the bodies, and then they throw them in, and it's just the sheer amount. It just goes to show you that the poor are kind of dispossessed in life and in death. So they don't have a permanent resting place in life. They live in a cemetery, and in death, they don't have one either.
With regards to the squatters, have you done a follow-up on what has changed in the lives of these informal settlers in Manila? I was talking about a couple of weeks ago with the founder of the Gawat Kalinga, and I said that I'm looking forward to see this documentary in the film festival here. And he said, make it a point to say that the Gawat Kalinga had done something about their lives and the houses. But although having said that, I'm still wondering if indeed it was done. I'm quite sure there will be other informal settlers who are taking their places. Did you do some follow-up yourselves and what has happened there, what has changed?
The biggest problem with some of them have the right to live there. They have the permission from the owners. So you have, the Rojas family has said that our caretakers should be allowed to live at the Rojas gravesite. But then the problem is the city of Manila runs the entire cemetery. And so it's hard for them to say who is able to stay and who is able to go, because they would have to override the power of much more powerful families in the government. Another issue is that there are a lot of shanty towns that are being demolished, and the problem the government has is that they will try and rehome these families to the provinces, and they don't want to live in the provinces because the jobs are scarce, so they come back to Manila even after being resettled, and oftentimes they'll sell their land, take the money, come back to Manila, and then squat. So I think the government needs to take a bigger responsibility in rehoming people within the capital where there are job opportunities, and turning some of these giant shanty towns into actual livable places. That you've seen the shanty towns in Manila, the Smoky Mountains, they're so big. I think the government itself is overwhelmed, and everyone has different answers of what the right answer is.
Just in the status of the people, when was the last time we sent somebody over to speak to them? That was
I think
3 months?
Yeah, there was a lot of flooding during the last typhoon, and from what we heard, everyone was still there. And in terms of their legal status, most of them who we interviewed are still there. The government hasn't evicted them, but it's an endless cycle of eviction. They'll get everybody out and then they'll move back in.
And Richard was still there last time we found out.
The little boy was still there last time we checked. So we check every couple of months, but hopefully we'll go home in January
Yeah.
to see how they are.
So we'll probably go visit everybody at the cemetery when we go back in January and get everybody together and show them the film and just check on their status and see how they are.
Are we doing a follow-up, a documentary, part 2, a sequel?
I don't think a documentary, no. But we'll periodically keep in touch and we'll try and help out as much as we can from a distance.
How wide a home? I was just kind of wondering about that. If it had a big, wide audience, was there any kind of reaction from the Filipinos back home?
We haven't actually shown it anywhere in the Philippines yet, so we still have, there are a couple of festivals we're thinking about trying to play. And in terms of the theatrical run, we definitely think it's more of a TV piece, so we'd probably approach one of the TV stations to see if we can get some more exposure for the issue. Thank you, yes. We will definitely give you a DVD. It's interesting finding the Filipino communities in each town and trying to reach out, because it's hard getting people into the theater to see it. So yeah, thank you for your advice.
How did you find, and obviously a number is hard to, but how many actually make it out of that life?
Very few. I mean, a lot of them go down feudally. So you'll have a president that's buried there, and he'll hire a caretaker, and then the president's son will become a senator, and then that caretaker's son will become his caretaker. So a lot of things go down in generations, and a lot of the children, I think, feel a responsibility for their parents, and a lot of them go back to help them out and just end up in the same cycle. A lot of them do have jobs outside the city. The Rojas caretakers, their other children have jobs outside of the cemetery, but they still go back to live with their parents and make sure they're okay.
Just wondering if you could share a little bit about the process and how your background educationally or personally helped you in creating a documentary?
We went to the American Film Institute, so my background is in narrative cinema, and this is the first documentary I've ever done, and this the first long-form piece that I've ever done. So I think the hardest part of the process was actually just waiting around for the story. And we went out there thinking the story would be completely different than what it turned out to be. And because of the health issues that the children were having, we started to skew more towards sort of human rights angle, which is not something that we had anticipated. And I'll let Phil talk about his background in documentary.
So I've pretty much been in documentary since I come out of school. So I worked for the BBC in the UK up until 2000 when I moved to the US. So I've produced and I'm also a director of photography. So it's pretty much been a 20-year thing for myself. So which is probably why I convinced Jeanie to make a documentary with me, because it's the main thing which I do, apart from other commercial work. But I just really wanted to make another documentary. It's something which we control. So and it's just something which it's something which I know. So which is why the film has more of a TV feel to it, for me at least it does, rather than a feature kind of doc. So, but yeah, so I've always been in the business. So I think because they don't really know how many people are truly in the cemetery, they can only guess, and there's no record of deaths and births actually within the cemetery. I don't think there's any real way of knowing, to be honest with you. But I think it's probably relatively high from the stories we heard, but there's no way it's on the percentage.
Another big issue is obviously they're quite exposed to the elements, and when they get sick, their parents will think that it's a possession or some kind of spirit bothering them, and so they'll call in albularyo's or faith healers or witch doctors first before taking them to the hospital. Number one, it's kind of more of a folklore thing, and number two, healthcare can be expensive for them. I mean, the medicine alone costs so much, and so they kind of try and delay treatment as much as they can. And the problem is they lack that preventative care that can be life-saving, which is why the health of the children is so low.
Right. Yes, possibly. We would be interested ourselves. I think the relationship with some of the more high-profile people who have caretakers in the cemetery, I think that might be a little awkward for them. That relationship, I think sometimes they're a little embarrassed about that situation, which is why the row houses didn't really want to talk on camera about it. But yeah, we would certainly be interested in it. I think it would be good, because the concern of the government and the people who are running the cemetery, that the piece was going to shed a bad light on the place, and we just wanted to give an honest piece. So, and I think it's pretty honest. I don't think it really paints anybody in a bad light. It just tells things as they are.
I believe this is one of 2 cemeteries in the world that has a living population. The other's in Egypt. Obviously, their mausoleum structure is a little different, so I'm not quite sure what the community is over there. I think
Which we never got to.
in southern Philippines.
So, no, there was another one which we looked at, which is much smaller.
Right. This one is definitely the oldest and the biggest. But a lot of Filipinos don't even know that this cemetery has people living in it, because when we talk to Filipinos when we were there, like, what are you doing your documentary on? So it was like, people live in the cemetery. Like, where? They don't even know about it themselves. And I think the government is so embarrassed by it, because they see it as a big, they see it as something really disgraceful. It's not something they really like to acknowledge.
Are you planning to make any more documentaries in the Philippines?
If we do, it's going to be in the U.S. And about Americans. The subtitling alone could have probably done a whole other movie. Who is trying to type the subtitle?
Congratulations. That film was well done. It was really an eye-opener to our people and to the world as a whole. It's very sad. I hope that our country and the people of the Filipinos are here will make some kind of donation or help to the squatters there. It's hard for me to talk, but anyway, when you made that film, did you donate something to the squatters to help them out? Thank you.
Yes, at the end of filming, we actually went back with our cameras and we collected some money for them and shared everything out to everybody and gave them something. And it was just before Christmas as well, so we brought bags of gifts and some cash money as well for everybody. And in fact, for Richard's family, we also set up a medical fund for the next 12 months for them also. So for all of those children, how many? 5 kids, I think. Yeah, so we set up a fund for the 5 kids so they could get medical treatment, at least for the next 12 months. So, and then actually we'll go back this year and see how everybody is doing and see what we can do for them then.
A lot of families asked for help with the kids' education, so we also requested that they give us a wish list. And like Phil said, it was right before Christmas, so we got to play Santa Claus a little bit, especially the family with children.
We named it fairly early on once we started to find out that the people were being evicted. And it's the reason we called it Death of the Cemetery, because if the people do get evicted from it, the cemetery will effectively die. There's going to be no life left in it. It's going to be just like every other cemetery, which is just empty and barren and not full of life. So it is the death of the cemetery, even though at the moment it is full of life. It's about the death of it.
Also, the title is kind of a metaphor because it's the death of a certain way of life. And the question that the film poses is that should people live this way? And would the end of this type of way of life, would the end of this type of feudal system be a good thing or a bad thing for the Philippines? I think what struck us both most about the people who live there is 2 things. One is that they have an amazing sense of integrity, which you can see with Elpidio, the main caretaker for the Rojas's. He's very proud of what he does, and he is in so many ways an artist and a craftsman, and he believes that he provides for his family the best way that he can. And he, compares himself to some of the more seedy types in the cemetery, like drug dealers, and he believes he's making an honest living and living a life of integrity, and it really showed, I think, in his interviews. The second thing that struck us was the amount of compassion that everybody had for each other. So the families who lived close to Richard would check up on him all the time and be concerned about his welfare when they discovered that he had gone to the hospital. And it's one of those places where it could devolve into dog-eat-dog situation. But I think everyone had a lot of compassion for each other's struggles and difficulties living there. Yeah.
What's next for the film? And I know you touched on future projects a little bit, but anything specific like in the works?
I think for the film, we're going to try and focus on bringing it home to the Philippines and seeing what we can do to screen it there and finding a way to reach more audiences. something narrative next.
All right, well, thanks again to Jeanie and Phil for coming out from the film, for coming out from the Cemetery. And thanks everyone for joining us.